Good morning, fastBREAK. You can't hear that. It was really funny. Hi, I'm Charlotte, and I think I may have misunderstood today's theme just a little. I'm kidding. That's kind of what I do. I kid for a living. I'm a children's television writer, mostly for animation. So precariously placed anvils are kind of my speciality. And just get to be a big kid all of the time. So when fastBREAK asked me if I wanted to talk today, I thought, no way. I am not enough of a grown-up to give a speech, let alone to a room full of people who are also grown up, that not only are they awake on a Friday morning, they've already ingested an entire bakery and 3 coffees and 5 informative talks, complete with slides. But then I thought, well, maybe that's actually exactly why I should come and talk, because I could talk about how I don't think of myself as a grown-up and why I sort of don't ever really want to become one, because I think it's a trap. Now, don't get me wrong, when I say I don't want to be a grown-up, I don't mean it in a Peter Pan, Charlie Sheen, me goreng dinners forever kind of a way. But my problem with the concept of being a grown-up is that more often than not, it implies leaving behind childhood. You stop being a child when you start being a grown-up. And that might be great if life was like Pokemon, and you could like level up from Kidachu to grown-up-achu, and you'd still get to keep all of your awesome powers, but you'd also get some cool new ones. But unfortunately, it seems in the real world, the closer you get to being a grown-up, the more of childhood you have to leave behind. I mean, do you remember being a baby? You're allowed to stare at people in public. You're allowed to cry in public. You're allowed to vomit on people, and they'll still be your friends. But that's kind of only okay when you're a grown-up after a bottle of tequila. And then when you get a little bit older and you start talking, you're allowed to say whatever you want. I remember I went to a dinner party once where this little boy walked straight out of the bathroom and straight up to the table where he proudly announced to everyone, "I just peed rainbows." And everyone clapped. But I tried saying that in a meeting the other week. And remember when grown-ups would ask you what you wanted to be when you grew up, and you were still allowed to say, "Mom, Dad, I want to draw cartoons on Mars." And that was still kind of cool. That was okay. But the funny thing is, but try saying that to your parents when you're 21, right? And the funny thing is, by the time you're that age, you're actually kind of in a better position to do most of those things than ever before. I mean, you're tall enough to get on a rocket ship, and you're old enough to leave the planet without your parents' permission. But they just don't seem as acceptable as they used to be. I remember when I was about 5 years old, I really wanted to be a fairy, and a cartoon character, and a writer, and a bunch of other things. But as I got a little bit older, it became an actor, because fairies didn't exist. And after that, it became a lawyer, because actors who made money didn't exist. And by the time I'd finished school, I had enrolled in an IT degree, which was great. But I quickly worked out that it didn't really suit me. It sounded great, but it didn't feel right. So I went looking for things that felt right, but sounded terrible. So I made some really crappy, rubbish short films. I worked in a haunted house. And at the age of 21, I got myself a job as a professional fairy. Happy sloth. I actually became a fairy at kids' parties. And a couple of years later, I started doing voices for cartoons. So I became a cartoon character. And within a year of that, I was writing for the cartoons. So I had ended up doing everything that I wanted to do when I was a kid. And I really loved it. And I still love it. So I think that 5-year-old me knew something that grown-up me didn't. And you know what's even better? I have a friend who is an amazing illustrator and an animator, and she's just been shortlisted for this thing called the Mars One project. which means in 10 years, she could actually be drawing cartoons on Mars. Jim Henson once said that the most sophisticated people he knew were all children inside. And I think he might be onto something. Because if you're still a child inside, then you've got at least 18 extra years on anyone who isn't. So why not be forever young? Why not be forever 5 and forever 12 and 16, forever the age you are now and all the ages still to come? Don't leave childhood behind. Take it with you. Thank you.